Oh, Mr. Craig.
Oh.
This is a fun digital thing.
Digital. Who do we have?
We have billion-dollar digital guru Todd Hartley.
Digital.
And guess what he's doing?
Digital.
He's going to drop some massive value nuggets all over your face.
Boom. Put that on your face and jiggle it around.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Boom. We'll pretend like this is the beginning, but really this is take two. Craig forgot to record it, which is not the first time, and it's funny, right?
I would say this is the first time.
Watch, past guests are going to watch this and go, oh, those excuses weren't real.
Oh, well, I don't know. It did get corrupted.
I forgot to, so. Who do we have today?
Well,
go ahead. Sorry. I can take it. I'm gonna take it.
Of Todd Hartley, CEO of Wirebuzz. Yeah. Boom.
I'll give you guys a little bit about me. Help set this whole thing up. I'm a go-to digital advisor for celebrities, world leaders, enterprise-level businesses. I own an agency called Wirebuzz. And for 20 years, I've been specializing in optimizing how we convince and convert at faster rates. And one of the things that I love about using the power of video is it allows us to provide massive clarity. And if you talk to somebody like Tony Robbins, one of the things he'll say, he owns 53 businesses. He knows a few things about persuading people, and he will tell you that people don't buy through confusion. They actually buy when they experience massive clarity. And guys, you already know in your life, you experience the same thing. And when you're selling, if you don't provide massive clarity, people say no. So in this session, I'm going to show you how to provide greater certainty and clarity so you get more yeses in your life. If that sounds valuable, say yes.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
All right, cool. So you guys guide me, and then I'll jump in and I'll do a little demo for everybody.
You got it, man. So you tell us how an insurance dude or an insurance dudette can rock some of this stuff.
All right. So there's going to be a moment in every sales process where you have to provide massive clarity. And if you think back to school, show and tell was like all of our favorite part of growing up, because showing and telling happens visually and it aids in the imagination. And the best salespeople in the world tell stories, but they also provide visual examples that show and tell. By the way, fellas, do either of you have a dog?
Yes.
Okay, and what type of dogs do you have?
Basset Hound.
Mutts.
But are they cute?
Yeah.
You're so non-committal. Like, you guys were the worst people for me to ask that setup question.
No, so cute. So cute.
All right, let me tell you where I'm going.
I love that.
Dog owners talk about their dogs. They take out their phone and they show photos because they're providing massive certainty to the other person about how cute that is. And we all know this, that people reach out, they show their phone and they're showing and telling, and there's a power to that. But salespeople in the insurance space need to be using this because your time investment, so when you put together numbers and you send them over and you answer all those questions, will be so much more profitable if you drive people across the finish line showing and telling. And if I could do a quick demo, I'll walk you through something. Does that make sense?
We would love it.
All right. So guys, I'm going to request that I share my screen. And in doing so, I've got to find the Zoom. There we go. I'm going to share. And I'm going to take that. You guys give me permission. Let me know when you got
those that are seeing impaired right now, what are we looking at?
Right now, you are just looking at my desktop, and I'm going to click on a icon that's in my Chrome browser, and it is called Soapbox by Wistia. Wistia is a video player. It's Wistia. And we recommend it. By the way, my company does some 2,700 videos for businesses a year, but the video by itself isn't as effective until you start to lay out the strategy with it, which I'm going to give you dudes right now. And there's a icon here on my browser, my Chrome browser, called Soapbox. And when I click it, it pops up my camera and it allows me to record, which I'm hitting the record button right now. And as I record, I'm going to record not only my face, but also my proposal to my client. And then when I'm done going through the proposal, I'll have the opportunity in the browser to do a quick edit and pair up what I want that person, that prospect, to see while I'm talking. So I would start off by saying something like, hey, Jack, it's Todd from the Insurance Dudes. I went through your insurance needs and have pulled together a proposal to help you decrease costs. Now, Jack, I understand that there's a team of you that's going to make a decision. I'm just setting you guys up because we all know that the person that you talk with, they're not going to be the one that's ultimately going to make the decision. They're going to make a coalition of people. It might be their spouse, it might be a business partner or a team. And so I would say something like, Jack, I'm going to walk you and your team through this because, look, let's face it, insurance is complicated and I'm here to help simplify and answer any questions. And then I would start to click through my proposal and visually show them the ways that we're going to help. I'll get down into the financials eventually, and I'll walk them through it. When I'm done, I will hit the button that stops the recording process. And then in doing so, this video is now ready for me to edit. And when I edit it, I can pair it between the two different slides. Fellas, can you see my screen now?
Oh, yeah. So they're side by side.
It's a side by side. But nice. I can start off, you can see these tools with just me, and I can move into when I start talking to Jack and I'm looking into the camera. And then a couple seconds later, I can go to my slides. And what I really want to do is I want my face in front of Jack and his team, because at the end of the day, we do business with people that we have relationships with. We do business with real people. So now when I've got this slide and this video and I send it off to Jack and his team, I'm going to show you as you're watching my screen how easy it is to go into your video player, grab the video and populate it into, I'm just going to grab this random one. That's not the one that I just recorded. I'm going to insert it into my email and it populates right there. Can you see that?
Wow.
Yes.
That is awesome. So it shows the actual video.
Yes.
In the email. That's huge.
Okay. So go ahead, Craig.
I'm getting so granular, but it just, so it throws a GIF inside the email or
yes.
HTML.
And I click on it and it takes me to a landing page where they're going to watch that video. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. Now let's
customize that landing page.
You can, if you want. It's good. You can put your proposal on it and your, not only your proposal, but also your video. And if I go into my account, I can then look to see who's watching the video. So let's look at this. Here is some of my most recent, and these, by the way, guys, there may be 3 total views, 5 total views. I'm not looking to go viral. I'm looking to influence an office to make a buying decision with me now. So let's look at this one event. This right here is for I'm a speaker. I go around the world speaking. So this is a group that had me come in or is looking at me as a speaker. If I go in and look at the stats, you will see that they had one play. They watched it twice, and both times they watched it to 100%.
That is awesome.
Why is that valuable to me? Well, it's valuable because now I can covertly know that my message was received. I covertly know that I influenced them. I can follow back and say, all right, you had an opportunity to look at the video. What questions could I answer? And if you see that they're not looking at the video, you could go back and say, hey, just wanted to confirm that you received the video where I'm coaching you and your team through your proposal, right? That right there is a game changer, because with all the proposals that your team puts out in a week, if you can increase the conversion rate by 10% or 35% or 40%, you're looking at a different business, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. So how is this? So we're talking about before about video in general. How important is video? How much of a game changer can this be for people?
Yep. All right, I'm gonna go off stats. And in today's world, prospects will not burn any mental calories to learn about your solution. They just won't. And there's nothing more boring than insurance. No offense.
No, none taken.
It's got to be one of those complicated services that everybody's attention deficit disorder alarm bells go off, mine included. Okay, so we have to show and tell. By the way, if you give people an option, and I know these numbers because I live it, if you give people an option between reading or watching a video, even if they're both on the same page, people are 4 times more likely to watch video than to read text. By the way, none of us here should be married to text. It may be romantic. You may love to read a book. You may go by a bookstore and say, oh, I love that Barnes & Noble or Borders is still here. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that your prospects are 4 times more likely to watch it. They're going to stay twice as long, which means they're going to give you more time to process the information. You're going to show and tell, which is going to be more visual. And then when they're done watching, they're 85% more likely to buy. Boom.
85% more likely to buy.
What does that do for your vacations? I'm just kidding.
Makes them longer.
Makes them longer.
That's true.
Right? It also makes you more efficient. Now, you're insurance dudes. If Craig and I go back, maybe 25, 30 years, if Craig, we had a tool like that when we would go to bars and we would talk to girls, it would improve our conversion rates. What would this do for your business if you could then look in to see with greater confidence who's demonstrating interest? Right?
Yeah.
And these are inexpensive tools. Those videos,
many more fish tank views.
Many more, right? Which is the ultimate goal. So how do we get people to have greater clarity, greater certainty? We do that through video. We do that by putting our eyes on the camera and making a connection. By the way, do you guys see how I'm like in on that camera? Like my eyes are making contact with that camera lens because I know that this is a fake version of developing a relationship, but at the core, humans make relationships with eye contact. So
Yes.
if you don't make eye contact, you miss the opportunity to go deeper with that person and to make a connection. And when all things are equal, the person that gets hired is not the one with the most experience. The person who sells the insurance is not the one with 35 years of experience. It's the person who demonstrates the greatest willingness to be the most helpful to the other person. We do
That's
that.
it.
Right? We do that through being extra clear in our communication and making sure the person on the other end receives that information with the same level of clarity.
Todd, what about people that don't have a studio or don't have equipment?
It doesn't matter.
I can hear all the excuses, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a camera and I don't have lighting. And
Everybody builds limiting beliefs for themselves that keep them inside of this box, right? But if you recognize that what I just shared with you with Wistia, by the way, I do not know what the cost is for the service, okay? I do know that I close deals like a boss because of it. And that means I don't even have to know what the cost is for that service. But I think it might be like, just off the top of my head, like $300 a year for an individual. For a company of a larger size, like enterprise, it might be $400 a month. But it doesn't matter, because if your team is crushing deals at epic rates, you'll never feel bad about that $300 a month going out of your account if that's what it costs, or $300 for an entire year, right? It becomes one of those tools. So the limiting belief that most people have around video, which is Craig's question to me, is what keeps them from being a sales monster. And that is, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not charismatic enough. My chiclets in my mouth aren't going in the same direction because these teeth are all going. Nobody cares. What they really care about is how you can help them become better or more secure or protected against any type of issue that happens for their business or their family. And
the lowest production value video is still better than the proposal that has no video.
Yes. Especially when you realize, here's another pro tip. The open rate on email is 20%. That kind of sucks, at least in my mind. And the open rate for text messaging is 98%. You determine which one's going to be more effective for you. But if you decide you want to use email, which is totally fine, that's up to you. The open rate's 20%. If you add the word video in the subject of that email, you'll double the open rate. Why?
Boom.
People are lazy. And they look at the video and they're like, cool, the insurance dude sent me a video. That's like a Snickers bar in the middle of the day. People are like, man, people are going to think I'm working, but I'm watching a video, right? So the other thing is, once they see that video, they're now 3 times more likely to click through the email and go to your website to watch the video. All we're doing is optimizing the way that you can get your information into their head.
Yep. And these are stats, people. This is actual data from somebody who runs a ton of data.
Yeah.
So it's not a feeling. I think one of the problems that we have in this industry in general is it was done a certain way for a long time. And I think that things are moving so fast now that people are, all those excuses and stuff come up.
Those excuses are limiting beliefs. If you're feeling that the industry has done it this way and that's the way you're going to do it, then you aren't pioneering, you're not trailblazing, and your conversions and your revenue isn't going to go up like a hockey stick. But you have to be willing to try new things, and the greatest advantages come to the people that are the first in the industry to do it, right? Once it becomes saturated, which I would imagine within the next 7 years, everybody in your industry as a default mechanism is going to be doing this. So right now is the opportunity to jump on it. And I train everybody on my team that when they submit a proposal, that proposal has to go over in a go-to meeting. We got to go through it. There's a lot of things. We're going to have to answer all of your questions to make sure that you're comfortable. Then the next step is you don't just email that. You send off a video inside the email. And guys, I recently made this mistake because I was at a meeting with a chief operations officer for $1 billion company in Canada. And I was sitting next to them at a conference. And by the time we were done having lunch for like 3 days, this person said, oh my God, I need to do this with you. Send me a proposal. So I knew they were so excited. They were the decision maker, chief operating officer, right? $1 billion company. She's got to be able to call the shots and sign this thing. So I sent off the proposal. I had a call with her. I walked her through it and then sent off the proposal thinking that was good enough. But what I didn't realize was it's stalled out now for 2 weeks. And if we know anything, time kills deals, right?
Yep.
So on the 2-week mark, a bell went off in my head that said, dude, you have lost control of this. She no longer has excitement about what you're proposing. Doesn't have clarity anymore. So I created a screen grab video using the Soapbox app that I just showed you. And I fired her up. I refocused. I walked through the proposal, explained the impact. But what I really did is I didn't just explain it to her. I started off by saying, hey, Leslie, it's Todd. And for Leslie's team, I want to bring you up to speed on the things that I've been talking to Leslie about so you can all have massive clarity on the opportunity that's available, right? I sent that. I'm going to show you guys so you could, if I'm BSing, you can call me out on it right now. I'm going to look up her name. By the way, the day I sent this to her, and there is her name. Okay, cool. The day I sent this to her, I sent it over, and within an hour, she said, come on, where is it, Leslie? Oh, okay. Okay, here it is. Oh, yes, here it is. Boys, it says, you rock. Read it, can you?
You rock. Thank you. Your video sold them. Totally made my job simple. So awesome. I'll be sending you the contract in a couple. Happy face.
Boom. Oh, and I got a happy face and a fat
heart.
check and a heart, right?
And think like in our world, so many times we'll send it off, or the objection is, I need to talk to my spouse, right? That's the easy off. We push a couple times and then they still say, fine. We try to get an appointment, and either we never talk to them again, or we do, but then it just keeps getting kicked down the road. This going over it then gives them the opportunity to show their spouse.
Yes.
There's no way your spouse can articulate to the other spouse the coverages.
Okay, now there's a couple of things here. I want to unpack. I'm totally in alignment with that. But who's going to do a better job selling the spouse? The husband or the insurance provider? Right. Well, so when they're like, hey, I'm going to go talk to my spouse, in my head, I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to your spouse. Right. I'm going to create a video, because here's the next piece of this. Nobody buys, we already know, through confusion, but they also, an emotionally unaffected buyer will not buy. We know this. The first time my wife and I walked through the house that we ended up buying, she was crying by the time she got to the laundry room. Nobody buys unless they have an emotional connection. So when you get on that video, you have to be fired up. You have to be empathetic. You have to be providing clarity and certainty. And when you do that, so you may have to do 3 or 4 takes. It doesn't matter. But when you provide that and you send it off and you give them direct orders to share that with their spouse, and then you track on the back end, now you're totally in charge of the sales process all the way to the point of conversion. Boom.
Boom. And if you have the clues, you have the insight. They watched it 2 times, or they didn't watch it, right? Now you can hey, you haven't watched the video. What's going on?
Oh, and just because I sell this stuff, I even did this thing, and I don't think I did it it's not in here. I was going to prove it. Then I do a screen grab. Sometimes I do a screen grab of the viewing, and I will say, isn't this great? Wouldn't it be valuable if your team could actually, your sales team could actually have this type of insight on the people you're selling to? Look what I know about you now. Wouldn't that be valuable for you guys closing deals? And then they're like nodding with me like Craig is doing right now, right?
Yep.
Show and tell. In every scenario, you'll get more yeses.
That's it.
Right. You said 85% more likely to convert?
Yep. They're 85% more likely to buy after watching a video. Why in the world would we allow our fates to be around text?
Right. By not doing it, they're 85% less likely to buy.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane.
Yes.
Why would you not do it?
Well, Craig, you've watched. My business is blown up on this we're 9 years in. We've never lost a client. And the reason is you're just providing greater clarity and then teaching other people, how to use our services to get the results. No different than what you guys do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even take this as far as I'm ramping up. I just opened a second agency, and this is the first time I've had a staff this big and stuff. And I've realized it's the same selling process, like selling them on our vision and what we're doing in our process. But a lot of people, the more clear I am with the person or my team is with their teammates, the more likely that they'll have a chance of success.
Yes.
That clarity.
Yeah, Jason, you're spot on. By the way, I had an old school person in sales that resisted, and they would send proposals and not have the phone call where they share a screen, like on a GoToMeeting, and they would just send the proposal, and then they wouldn't follow up with a video on the end, and that person didn't last long around here because I need everybody, like you need everybody in your agency to be their most persuasive as possible. And that person's limiting belief could have been a variety of things. Maybe they don't like me on camera, or they don't think they're charismatic. But your customers don't expect you to be, you know, this amazing on-camera talent. They expect you to be human and to be able to answer questions that you answer all day long. So a lot of this stuff can be taught through repetition, like shooting hoops and shooting free throws. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Yep. And I think mistakes and all that stuff, they're fun. Like, that's what Craig and I do.
Right.
Just like the beginning of this show.
Well, it's authenticity, fellas. People crave authenticity.
And no one's perfect. I mean, how annoying is it? Everybody's brought this scenario up. Instagram, it's that couple. They're always posting those perfect pictures. And it's like, dude, you know that they're arguing in the background.
Right.
Like, yelling at each other, take a picture. The kid's doing something, punching something. You know, show that stuff.
Right.
That would be good.
It's much more entertaining.
Much more. Yeah.
Yep.
So, how did you, so you started video how long ago?
2003 is when I was already speaking on search optimization or content marketing tours. But I just kept seeing the same stupid speech where somebody's talking about blogging. And I don't get me wrong. I think blogging is valuable. But I would be the jerk in the back that knew the data, and I'd raise my hand and I'd go, hey, if blogs are getting a 1.5% conversion rate or 1.5 times conversion rate, but video's getting blah, 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 you know, shouldn't we all be really talking about video? I'd be that jerk. And so I just knew it would be a monster. And business is now already starting to discover that if they sell visually, they'll just get much better results. So by the time I opened up an agency, I already did about 8,000 customer videos for a previous employer. And then I started looking for jobs and wanted the next stage of my career. And I realized that every place I went in 2010 was hiring me and they were giving me whatever I wanted. But I was from the future, and the owners were like, I don't know, television, print, radio marketers. Oof, and so I come home to my wife and I go, yeah, I got hired again. I mean, it's great. We're totally broke. And, but I'm like teaching all these people where the future is. And it's so obvious, but they just look at me like I've got a tinfoil Calvin Klein outfit on. And I just don't think I can give this all away. So that's how it got started. And I think anybody like you guys know that when you start a business, it isn't easy, and you always are rowing, and you're trying to command a team to go and conquer new territories. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs that come up, and a lot of financial issues that pull away from your ability to be able to develop the consistent lifestyle that you and your spouse or your partner may be dreaming of. But if you continue to proceed ahead and you treat people like they are extremely valuable in your life, which they are in your industry, I think the most important thing is to be a trusted advisor. And if you're that trusted advisor that they can go to at any moment to answer questions in your sphere of influence, they'll never leave you. And that's ultimately what's happened for me.
That's awesome. And so you're helping kind of off the insurance thing, but you're helping massive clients. Take us through how do you diagnose their needs, and what do you do to set them up? And I'm sure that we can use a lot of that in our agencies, because I have this feeling that most agencies are going to be more of a content maker in the future than anything else.
Yep. And So the first, I'm not really a video person. I mean, sure, I own a video marketing agency, but when I opened up a video marketing agency, I didn't have a video camera, and I didn't open an agency because I loved shooting commercials, or I thought bar mitzvahs and weddings were awesome and I wanted to make money there, because I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm interested in is the digital marketing strategy. How do I get somebody to their end goal destination and help them replicate that success? And I know that like the back of my hand, and that starts with mapping out what their goals are. And so we start with a strategy session, and by the end of that 1 hour, we run the client through about 20 questions. And by the end of it, we have a pretty good idea on where the low-hanging fruit opportunities are. And in most businesses, it's about lack of clarity. If you look at your sales process, fellas, you'll discover that there's leaks all over the place. Leads come in, you pump them through the decision-making process to where they make an end destination decision. And along the way, people fall out, right? And if you look to see where they fall out, if you get really nerdy about it, they fall out anywhere that they experience confusion. And that often happens where we have complicated our business. So anytime there's confusion, you want to either simplify or provide a video in that spot. And in doing so, you end up retaining them and moving them through the process. And my goal is, people approach me, they're like, and these are billion-dollar companies. These are like 23andMe, if you know the genetics company, or AAA, or Home Depot, or MD Anderson, or bunch of others. So
real businesses,
they will say, we need more leads. And I'm so NDA'd, you guys. I'm not specifically referencing any of those companies. But the most common thing is, dude, we need more leads. And when I start to sit in on those questions, those 20 questions that we run them through, we discover that they really don't need more leads. They need to take better care and provide greater clarity to the leads that they already have. And then you actually, if you start pumping in more leads through a leaky process, all you're doing is compounding waste. So the first thing you do, just like plumbing, is you go through and you figure out where the leaks are. You close those leaks, and often with stories about your service. And then you realize that a larger percentage are going through. Once you've got that watertight, then you pump in more leads.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I guess that any of our businesses, we should be focusing on that. When was the last time an insurance agent went through all the emails and all that stuff granularly and seeing, what's the open rate on these? Like, is the message getting across? I think a lot of times too, from what I've seen from like CRM companies, is they get these real generic emails that really suck. And I'm pretty sure that somebody in America didn't write them, because it doesn't even make sense.
Right. I know we've got right now in the background, one of our writers, one of our copywriters that are trained in the art of persuasion, is writing like 15 emails for one of our clients. And these emails are what happens after first meeting. Or what happens after they reach out to us the first time. And it's an email drip sequence where we've got to transfer the right amount of information to move them through the process. So that's a lot of fun, but it's also nerdy, and it takes a lot of precision, right? And those emails are typically more human than sales. They're more helpful than they are trying to get into somebody's pocket. And it's kind of like relationship development 101. Dude in bar that walks up to hot girl and asks her to go see Craig's fish tank is in the wrong context. The guy's in the wrong context. He hasn't developed the right setup relationship yet to be able to ask for that fish tank visit. But if you start the right relationship and you start talking about like things that are relatable, a tip I would give you guys is, if somebody approaches you and they're looking for a certain thing, then or maybe they're a certain type of company, you should start creating your segmentation. Who are your personas? And the more you start to identify who your typical personas are, the more you start to talk to people and align with them on what their needs are immediately. And that starts not with selling, but alignment. And we all do this. Like some salespeople walk in, one of their alignment things, they walk into Craig's office and they're like, Buccaneers. I love the Buccaneers. And then you start talking about Tampa Bay and now you're creating alignment. Like salespeople have done this since the beginning of time, but when it comes to content, there's a massive disconnect. So align immediately around who that persona is, what their needs, their pain, their frustration, their concerns are. And that's where the relationship starts from. Start providing massive value there. Oh. And the way you keep yourself centered is to remember that helpful information, helpful is the new viral. You don't need to go viral to everybody. You need to be helpful to each one of these different personas. And the more helpful you are, the more they're going to keep you around, the more they're going to give you greater attention to help solve their problems.
Todd, where are the riches?
Them riches are in the niches. My bitches. That's the way it works.
And you know, like you see it so often in this world where the agency owner feels like they must serve everybody with every product. And when, depending on the company that we're with, it's Home Auto Life. I mean, that's the bread and butter. So we need to focus on that. And then which segment or which demo of Home and Auto Life are we most competitive? Because then we're going to be able to serve the most people at the highest close rate. Right. And we'll have people say, well, where do you do event insurance? And I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't do me any good. It's going to, we're going to spend 3 hours trying to figure it out, 5 hours trying to close it. Then they're going to tell us we can't do it. And we just lost a day. Right. And so it's so important to stick to those personas. Yes. I mean, you showed us that way back when we launched Agency Vault, and I appreciate that so much because it's really important, to know from a marketing perspective, who am I going after? Because then you can strategically align with them and deliver what they need. Yeah, guys, I think you bring up a really good point. If you don't do personas and you do one size fits all, which we know one size fits all doesn't work in anything, including swimwear. If you start to look at your ads, let's say you're running ads, and ads could also be anything else. It could be email outreach or people you're meeting with, but you start to see how many people are not converting and how low that conversion rate is. Most people will pump the brakes right there and they will say, hey, the ads, they don't work. Gonna try something else. But what they haven't realized is the ads don't work because they're treating everybody as if they have the same problem. Right. As soon as you specifically take certain audiences and run them through a customer journey or a knowledge transfer experience on your website that's specific to that persona, then when you go and look at the data, you realize, damn, these are converting 40 times better than the original ones. And before you know it, you just moved yourself from one size fits all to very specific marketing, and the ROI is proving out. That's awesome. Cool. Love it. That is so awesome. We're up against the wall here, Todd. Really, really appreciate you joining. We want to respect your time. If you could give one tidbit of what do you think is the best piece of advice you've been given to help propel your career? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take on a new tactic or a new strategy. What I realize is, by the way, you guys, in 1999, when I launched my first news site and it went crazy viral, and was getting 36 million visitors a year on zero ad dollars, I just tapped into a audience that I was going to get massive traffic coming from that audience. How long was it going to last? I don't know. It could last 6 days, 6 months. For me, it lasted 9 years. So, but what I did is what I would recommend any entrepreneur do.
Once you find something that works, don't sit back and start drinking Mai Tais. Start finding the next 2 or 3 tactics that are going to bear out results, because that original one, that faucet's going to turn off at some point, and you can't be left holding all of the risk. So here's the secret, and this gets the answer for Craig. I don't have to be the smartest person in my industry. I'm not. I'm clearly not. That's a birth blessing. It belongs to one person, and it wasn't given to me. But what I was given is an opportunity, and that opportunity is a choice. I've chosen to be the most resourceful person in my industry, which means just like your listeners, you listen to these guys, you learn from them, and you go on and continue to be super hungry about what other people in your industry are doing and what's bearing out results, and then you test it. And you test it to see if you can get lift off of it. And when you do, keep the process going. The most resourceful people will learn and accelerate their growth at faster levels than the birth blessing person.
Amazing.
So be open to
Phenomenal. Great advice.
that. Thank you.
Amazing. Todd,
Man.
thank you so much, man.
We'll,
All right,
we'll
fellas.
post your link. I don't think anybody in our world can afford you, but I mean, the knowledge that you've just dropped is beyond anything.
Beautiful. Well, I'm honored to do it. If I can ever be of help, you guys let me know. And I'm rooting for you guys. And I see you guys popping up on social media. And it's see that Craig is not
There
doing
you
this
go.
episode.
I finally did.
The
Boom.
next one. The next one.
I'm starving. I got to eat something. Thank you, my man.
All right, guys.
I'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
A lot of fun. Jason,
Say
nice
hi to
meeting you.
Papa.
Dude.
Yeah, great meeting you, man.
I will.
See you, buddy. Bye.
Great meeting you, Jason. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good meeting you.
55% of insurance sales producers say that they have had little or no sales training. Us agents focus on marketing to drive activity and often overlook the sales presentation. Improvements in mindset, shifting focus, rapport, needs diagnosis, value building, creating buy-in, and overcoming objections lead to drastically better closing numbers. The solution? Enroll your team in September's Sales Summit offered by Agency Vault. We will even assess your team to see which of their sales steps need the most improvement. Head to agencyvault.com to sign up before it's full.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.